welcome. It's a really pleasure to having you all here. Thank you so much for joining. We have the Rabbi Bistritzky here that came to join us, and we have Rabbi Winner, the Rabbi of the Shul, and we have Isaac Kerber, the president of the Shul here, and we have all of you. And I really thank you so much again for coming. So I'll be brief because we have a long night, but I just want to say that, before anything, first of all, I'm really thankful for, the Rabbi of the Shul, because the Rabbi of the Shul, as everybody understands, is the Rabbi of the Shul. And without a Rabbi, there's no Shul. And of course, to the president that really tries to really make this place, to keep it going. As everybody knows, Sheepshead Bay changed a lot. This used to be a very Jewish neighborhood. And over the years, the neighborhood changed a lot. But thank God the shul is still here. You still have a lot of Jews here. But the only issue is the Jews, you need to get them out. Because a lot of them associate with like a shul with like a place where you're like forced to do things. But actually shul, a synagogue, is just a place where Jews gather. You could pray here, you could eat here, and you could just be here with your fellow tribe. And of course, thank you to my father for being here also. It's really nice to have your father in attendance. Just the last thing that I want to say is that, in the past I made these events, that we had these events here with the speakers. But really, this one thing that I want to take on, that we shouldn't just do this once a year, we should do this more often, because anytime Jews are together, it's a really special thing. So now, without further ado, please welcome the Rabbi of the Shul. He would like to say a few words. Rabbi Winner.
Okay, thank you so much, Ari. And I want to welcome Rabbi Bistritzky. Are you related to any? L'chaim Levrach. I don't have a l'chaim. Are you related to the Bistritzky, Chabad Bistritzky families? Ooh, Yingi, everybody? Amazing. It's also on the screen, the drinking. So, first we had the Torah. We're now going to have Torah. We had Tefillah, and everybody should give tzedakah. And that way we have the three pillars that the world is standing upon. And I want to welcome Rabbi Bistritzky. From what I just found out that he makes mikvahs, and maybe he can make one here in Sheepshead Bay. We need one. There's not a mikvah within a mile vicinity here for women, so that would be an amazing accomplishment. That was one of my dreams, to have it here, mikvah. And of course, to representative from Chazaq, what's your name again?
Rabbi.
For coming, and the ladies that are here, and the regulars that are here. So again, we welcome everybody, and a special thank to Ari and the Shul for hosting this event. So again, the Shul, we have minyanim every morning, we have a minyanim in the evening, we have classes this Wednesday. I hope everybody is welcome to come, 7:20 B'Davin, and 8 o'clock we have a class on Zohar. This year is the year of Hakel. This is also like a Hakel gathering, and we get together and we learn Torah, and we daven and we learn. We have Kedushim every Shabbos. We have programs throughout the year. So please feel free to walk into the doors. You don't need an invitation, and consider this place as your own. So the title of the class that the Rabbi will be speaking about is about Sfira, which is the counting of the Sfira, which we just did, which is something which is davar be'ite. It's really something in its time. So we need to understand what exactly is the idea of Sfira, which I'm sure the Rabbi will elaborate in this idea. So when we do the Sfira, it's not just a counting of the number or the prayer that Alan says, that the temple service should be restored speedily in our days. Amen. But it is also that we are counting 49 days, it's from Pesach to Shavuos. And in every single one of these count is a different Sfira, a different trait that we are working on. I think tonight was what? Netzach Shabbat Feres or Yesod Shabbat Feres? I forget which it is. So which means that every single, a Jewish soul has 10 soul powers, 3 intellect, Chabad, and 7 emotional, Chagas Nehim. And the 7, each of the 7 are compiled of a combination of the other 7. So you have chesed of chesed, and you have gvura of chesed, and you have tferes of chesed. There's a blend of each. So the idea of the preparing for the giving of the Torah is not only that we're getting ready to receive God's law, but it's also that we are working on ourselves to improve our character. The whole idea of Torah is really about midas. To have midas tovos. Everybody knows what midas tovos is, right? What is midas tovos? To have good character. It's not only about having a lot of information and learning a lot of Torah. And it's not about only being religious and making sure that you're shaking a lot in the davening. It's really about also what's going on inside. True, you have to shake in davening, and you have to do the mitzvahs, and you have to study Torah, but it's also what is the effect that it has inside the person. So the idea of the sphira is the counting of the sphira to prepare the giving of the Torah has to do also with emotional improvement, getting rid of the ego, being a better person, thinking more about somebody else before yourself. So in the character traits that we have, the interesting thing that we see here is, one idea is that there has to be a blend, that extremes is not healthy. If a person is extremely kind, it's not a good idea. If a person is extremely strict, it's not a good idea. If a person is extremely humble, it's not a good idea. Humble maybe is a good idea, to be extremely humble. But if a person is extremely egotistical, it's not a good idea. Meaning that the whole idea that we're counting the 7 weeks, that we're working on our character, but we're also working on our character, not only how to improve our character, we're also looking how to blend the character traits. So each one helps each other, and that's the difference between Tohu and Tikkun, where's a person who's a wild person or a controlled person. And that is when there's a blend of the middos, because each middah, each trait really has its place. Now there's a interesting thing that the Rebbe, Babich Rebbe, asks on a question with regard to the month. We just began the month of Iyar, and we're going, and we had Nisan. So the question is, which month is really a greater month, right? What is a greater month, Nisan or Iyar? Which is greater?
Iyar.
Why Iyar? So that's a very good answer. If you say Nisan, I would say why Nisan? But each one actually has its own quality. So you would think that really Nisan, I would expect you to say Nisan because that's the holiday of Passover. We went out of Egypt, all the miracles. Why? So what's Iyar? But actually the Rebbe explains that there's actually an advantage in each over the other. That a Nisan, that represents that is Milmaila Lamata, from above to below. It's an Azrusa de La'ela, an awakening from above. And Iyar is Milmata Lamaila, it's from below to above. It's a Rusa de Lasata, it's an awakening from below to above. Meaning that everything that we experienced on the holiday of Passover really came from God. We didn't have anything to do with it. Of course, we took the animal, we sacrificed it, but we didn't really earn it. We were on the lowest level of impurity. One more day, one more moment would have remained there forever. Pesach meant God took us out of Egypt. It was coming from God. So it came from God, but on the other hand, what did the human being do? The idea of Iyar is that now the person is working on himself to integrate and to internalize all that which occurred in the month of Nisan. So you have two ideas over here. On the one idea you have, on the aspect of what is a higher level, the month of Nisan is a higher level. However, the fault in it being a higher level is that it's beyond us and we didn't internalize it. The month of Iyar is in a sense a lower level. But because it is coming through man's effort, therefore he's internalizing. He's working out all that which he received in the month of Nisan. And then when it comes to the holiday of Shavuot, that is when we're ready, because we internalized that great light. Meaning, when we left Egypt, only the godly soul left Egypt. The animal soul was still stuck in Egypt. But when we count 49 days and we ready ourselves to giving the Torah, at the giving of the Torah, both the godly soul and the animal soul is ready to receive the Torah. Both souls are ready to receive the Torah. Because at this point we worked, in these 49 days, we worked on our character, try to improve ourselves to be ready for this manifestation of the giving of the Torah. So I want to just conclude with a story, two stories. One is we just had the yard site of Rabbi Shayla. Everybody knows Shayla, who made great miracles. And so my daughter shared with me the story. She read the book. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. So there was a story that someone came into the Beis Medrash Shtibel and said that there's a peasant in Hungary who has an axe who wants to kill a Jew. Rebbe, come, Ratava, save us. So he comes there and he sees the Jew, the guys with the axe, and he's ready to kill the Jew. What's wrong? I need my 10 ruble or florin, whatever the Hungarian.
Forint.
Forint. So I need that $10. I need that 10 forint.
Yeah.
So the Jew says, no, pay. Rabbi Shiloh says, pay. So he says, but I ordered a wagon of wood. He didn't give me a wagon of wood. He stacked the wagon like you stack Lincoln logs. He didn't stack it well. He stacked it with space. It's not a full wagon. And so the guy is saying, I want my 10 florin. The Yid is saying, you didn't give me what I asked for. So Rabbi Shiloh said, I made a miracle, right? All the other stories here about me, I don't know if you should believe, but this is a true miracle I did. What did he do? He took out $10 from his pocket, he gave it to the guy, and the guy walked away and he saved the Jewish life. So this, I think, is a beautiful story because sometimes the miracle is in the simplest acts. You don't need to have lightning and thunder. Sometimes you just do something small and you save the life. And the Rebbe says a similar story I heard from Hannes Friedman once, that he would talk to women in Beis Chana in Minnesota, and there was this lady who had problem. She had a bad temper, and she would scream at everybody. She had social issues. Nobody wanted to be her friend, and she didn't know what to do. So she said, I have to have a private audience with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I have to go into his office. Maybe the Rebbe knows that I'm a reincarnation of Cleopatra. Maybe I'm a reincarnation of who knows what. Maybe the Rebbe could do an exorcism on me, take out the dibuk that's inside of me. There's something wrong with me. I don't get along with anybody. So she goes to the Rebbe, she writes everything, and the Rebbe looks at her and tells her, you're not nice. You're not nice. Be nice. Be nice. And the Rebbe starts saying an example. You go to the luncheonette, there's a friend there, and she has her tray. Pull out the chair for the young lady, your friend, to sit there. You go into class, you're in a rush, and your teacher's walking through the door. Don't walk and let the door close. Hold the door, let the teacher go in first. You're not nice, be nice. And she understood an amazing lesson from this. That we don't really need to change our life dramatically to become a better person. Sometimes that's a Yetzer Hara. The evil inclination is trying to tell us that we need to do a dramatic change. Sometimes if we do something small, and the Nachmanides says that what we do, our soul follows our actions. A coarse person could become refined if they act refined. A refined person could become coarse if they act coarse. So the Rebbe told her, be nice and you will become nice. And I think that's where it all starts. So Hashem should help us. We should be nice, and Hashem will help us become nice, and we wish everybody to receive the Torah with joy and internalize it. Thank you so much, L'chaim.
Okay, Rabotai. Thank you for having me. I see there's some Sfardim and some Ashkenazim here, so I'll tell you a story about the Sfardim and Ashkenazim. Chacham Ovadia once had a son, I think it was Rabbi David, that had to have a medical procedure done here in America, and he doesn't have family here. So Rabbi Ovadia called up a doctor and told him, he was a frum Jew, an Orthodox Jew, and he told him, listen, I want you to take responsibility that my son will be okay and you're going to take care of him and you be on top of his health issues. So he said, okay. So he says, Rabbi Chacham Ovadia, maybe you give me a bracha. So he says, yeah, I'll give you a bracha. Whenever you go into any medical procedure, then you should have a malach, an angel should come with you. So he says, Rabbi Ovadia, you know, I did a medical procedure for the Satmar Rebbe, for Rabbi Yoel, and he gave me a bracha that I should have 3 malachim, 3 angels should come with me, and you tell me only 1 angel? So he says, what don't you understand? 1 Sephardi angel is more than 3 Ashkenazi angels. Okay, so now, like this, l'chaim. I'll tell you, I'll be very honest with you. I have to be at a shiur in Borough Park at 9:40, really, officially. But I came late here. I'll come a little late over there. So I'll try to be mekatzer. You don't have to worry. I won't speak too long. So the thing is like this. I have a speech prepared. Let me tell you, I heard on the way some stories about someone was talking about shidduchim, and he said something that really hit me. You know, we see in the parsha that when Eliezer went to do the shidduch for Yitzchak, so he's standing there and he says, "Oh Hashem, please, Hakreino lefanai," those that look in the Chumash, please send me the shidduch. I say chesed, that's what it says in the pasuk. Do me a chesed, do me a favor, Hashem. And he's asking Hashem. Now, if you think into it, who's he asking a shidduch for? Yitzchak Avinu was the best bacher in the world. He was the most sought after bacher. His father was a billionaire. His father was Av Hamon Goim, the most famous and the most influential person around. And he's coming for a shidduch for him, and he had, Rashi says that he had a document that Avram signed over all his assets to Yitzchak. So Yitzchak was a billionaire, and he's still standing there and saying, Hashem, please, please, because that's the point that we have to drive across to our hearts. That even though we shouldn't feel that we have anything, there's nothing coming to us. We have to realize that everything that we have is all a gift. Rabotai, we're a bunch of schnorrers to Hashem. That's what we are. We're beggars. We beg Hashem for everything. Don't take anything for granted. Not our health, not our family. Nothing can we take for granted. And he said another nice story that there was a bacher, there was a boy that was an older boy, and he really wanted to get married. And he told his Rebbe, I want to get married. Give me a bracha, help me. So he says, and then he was really brokenhearted. So he told the Rebbe, Rebbe, I think Hashem forgot about me. He says, yeah, you want to go for a walk? He says, yeah, I'll go for a walk. So his Rebbe takes him with him for a walk, and they pass an old age home. And he said, let's go into the old age home. Maybe we'll see someone that still remembers the Baal Shem Tov. Still remembers the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was like 250 years ago. So what do you mean he still remembers the Baal Shem Tov? Oh, okay, maybe he doesn't remember the Baal Shem Tov, but maybe he remembers the Chidah. But the Chidah was 150 years ago. Rebbe, how do you expect him there to be someone so old? So he says, I don't understand. Maybe the Malach HaMavos forgot about someone. So he tells his Rebbe, what do you mean? The Malach HaMavos doesn't forget about anybody. So he says, why not? He has such a good memory. So he says, well, Hashem sends him to pick up the people, he doesn't forget. So he says, why when it comes to forgetting someone do you feel that Hashem doesn't forget? And why do you think that Hashem forgot about you? So that's also something we have to internalize. Hashem does not forget about us. Each and every one of us, Hashem remembers. We all have to try and bring the emunah. And it says in all the Sfarim that we'll have emunah, if we'll have faith, and we'll have bitachon, trust in Hashem. We have to trust in Him, and we have to talk to Him, and He should become like He really is, our best friend. Because Yedid Nefesh of Rachman, Hashem is our best friend, our merciful Father. He gives us the best favors in the world, even though it's not coming to us. Okay, we'll talk a little about Sfirat Omer. First of all, if you look at Shulchan Aruch, it says that there are 33 days of mourning. The Talmidim, the students of Rabbi Akiva, died in the days of Sfira, but it's only 33 days. So we really have to understand, because if in the Gemara it says that the students of Rabbi Akiva died between Pesach and Shavuos. Now, between Pesach and Shavuos is more than 33 days. So why, if they only died in 33 days, let's say one Shita holds they only died till Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer they stopped dying, right? So why, if they stopped dying Lag BaOmer, does the Gemara say that they died till Shavuos? Why doesn't it just say that they died till Lag BaOmer? Why do they say that till Shavuos? So I heard an answer to this question. It's the point. Why did they die? They died because they didn't have enough respect for each other. They didn't have enough respect for each other. The time of having respect for each other is a whole year. But mainly, more importantly, is that before Kabbalah Satorah, if we want to have a chance of getting the Torah, of receiving the Torah, that the Torah should take over our lives, of really having a kesher with the Torah, having a closeness with the Torah, then we have to prepare in these days for that. And what's the preparing? Preparing starts by having love and respect for one another. And love and respect, I thought, if I remember correctly, it doesn't say that there were 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died. It says there were 12,000 pairs of Talmidim that died. Why does it say 12,000 pairs? 12 times 2 is 24. So say that 24,000 students died. So maybe the answer is because sometimes, when you come to shul, everybody's very respectful, how you doing? How are you? What's doing by you? But sometimes when we come to our close people, our family, our real close friends, the ones that we think we can take advantage of, the ones that we think, they can't run away from us. Our spouses aren't running away so fast, and our children and our parents, no one's running away so fast. So we forget that respect. Zugot, remember your close people. The ones, don't take them for granted. Have respect for them. I once heard a story, someone told me, I think the guy told me he was there, and Rab Pam Alav Shalom, he's the Rosh Hashiva of Torah V'das, and he said something to his wife, and his wife argued with him, and she said that, no, I feel differently, and he said what he felt, which is nothing wrong as long as it's done respectfully, and then afterwards he said something so smart. He says, maybe we're both right. That means, you have to have respect for what the other person feels and says. Someone told me he was in a car with Rabbi Wolfson. Rabbi Wolfson is also from Torah V'das. And Rabbi Wolfson said they were on the way to the airport and she forgot to bring the passports. And he got very upset because he was going to Eretz Yisrael and he really wanted to go. And they thought they're missing the plane. And he said, "Oi, what happened? How did you forget the passport?" Okay. They went back, they got the passport. He said after 5 minutes, the guy driver told me, he tells his wife, I want to ask you for mechila. I want to ask you to forgive me. I said that before. That means don't take your close people for granted. Those are the ones that you really have to have respect for. Someone that's not close to us, we don't have to tell them to have respect. You know why? Because if you're going to start up with a guy, he's just going to go away from you. It's those that won't be, that aren't able to run away from you. Those are the people. That's where the measurement, that's where at the midos tovos, the good heart, that's where it comes out. Are we really so good as we are in public? It's very easy to get up and say a drasha about how you have all these midos and how you're supposed to have midos, but you have to really use it and do it and be close to it. And we have to realize how sometimes people, there's Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, once a big Baal Musar he was, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, and he once was going, and Yom Noram, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Balei Musar, I don't got to tell you, when it came to between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, don't ask. They were shaking like a leaf. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanter was the chief Baal Musar that there ever was. And he was walking on a street and he sees someone going, there was a young man and he was very serious and he was very, all worked up. And he went over to him, he asked him, "Excuse me, what time is it?" And he looks at him, "What time is it now between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur?" So he said, "What's the matter? What time is it?" So he tells him the time and he says, "I got to tell you something. there's a saying in Gemara, Bar B'Shus Rabim, which means that if someone goes out and leaves an article that a second person trips over it, so that's not the right thing to do, right? If someone's going to go and dig a hole and then my friend's pet is going to fall in, so then I got a problem, right? It's something wrong. I did something wrong. You know, when you go out with a sour face, that's a bar b'shus rabim. That's what Rabbi Yisrael Salanter told him. This same Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, he used to travel around, and he ended up in Königsberg in Germany. And he was there, and he spoke Musar, and he got sick. And he got very sick, and the Kehillah over there, they hired a boy, an older boy. He should be his attendant, help him out, be his aide. And he was his aide. And he was getting sicker and sicker, and then he realized that his aide is not the most courageous guy around. So, and he also realized that he only has small amount of time left to live on this world. And he thought, and he was doing tshuva a lot. You guys know the story already? All right, you make chazara, review the story. We have to internalize it anyway. So he saw right away that, something's going to happen. And this boy here, this aide, he's going to get very, very scared if he dies on him. So he's, instead of using his last hours on this world to do tshuva and to think of Hashem and to get close to Hashem, he started talking to this boy, and he started talking about how people have anxiety when it gets dark, and really there's nothing to be afraid of. And he started talking about when someone's alone, then there's really nothing to be afraid of. You just have to psych yourself up and realize that Hashem is with you, and it's really nothing to be afraid of. And he was telling him, when a person dies, it's just like he's sleeping. You don't have to be afraid of a dead person. And he spent his last hours on this world just to make someone else at ease. And that was someone that he really didn't have to do it. But he said, now, 200 years later, we're talking about Rabbi Yisrael Salanter because that's really what stays on this world. The nahagu kavod zeh lazeh, to respect each other, to respect our close relationships, to respect. I saw that there was once a Kala teacher, and she tried to teach the Kalas the potential, they're becoming wives, they're getting married, and same thing for the husbands. So she wanted to teach them how to respect their husbands and how the husbands should respect their wives. So she told them, let me tell you what to do. You travel down to I would say to Manhattan, but today there's high-class restaurants in Brooklyn also, and just sit down by a table and look at the waiters and the waitresses and see how they serve the people sitting there. See how they come in, how can I help you? And do you need anything? And are you happy with the food? And maybe I could bring you something. Just internalize the way they're doing. And this Kala teacher was related that there was one girl that went and hired a waitress to teach her how to honor a different person. Now, I'm not saying that we have to go and hire waitresses, but we do have to learn how to respect people in general, and especially family and close friends. So, the Omer. What is Omer? Omer means that it's a bundle. What's a bundle? A bundle is a lot of barley together. It's together. It's tied together. Because that's the way that we can go to Kabbalas HaTorah, with togetherness, with realizing that every Jew is important, and also realizing that everything that we do and every mitzvah that we do, how important it is. Kabbalat HaTorah, Sefer Torah. If there's one letter missing, if one letter is written wrong, even though it's not my letter, it's a different letter. But every letter is puzzle in that Sefer Torah. If we miss out one letter, the whole Sefer Torah is puzzle. We have to realize sometimes we go our own way. Listen, I got my own problems. You have your own problems, but just realize that the other Jews' problems are your problems. And your problems are his problems or her problems. Because a Sefer Torah that's missing one letter is puzzle. And a Klal Yisrael without one Jew is puzzle. And the same thing really is, we have to realize how each mitzvah that we do, how important it is. You know, just imagine if we davened here Ma'ariv before, just imagine that there were 9 Moshe Rabbeinus here. 9 Moshe Rabbeinus. Would you be able to say Kaddish? No. You need that 10th man. It's no difference how big you can have 9 tzaddikim here. But you need that 10th man. Every Jew is important. And every mitzvah is important. I saw a story, it was a Moshav in Yisrael, I don't remember, I think the name was Shorash. And there was a Mashgiach there in the Moshav for Kashrut. And he wanted to make a minyan mincha every day. So he tried. And he had 9 people one day. And he didn't have the 10th man, so he walks outside, he sees the secular guy, and he asks him, you want to come into mincha? He says, I don't know what you're talking about. I never went to shul in my life. I don't know how to daven, I don't know how to pray, I don't know what you're talking about. So he says, you know what? We need a 10th man. Just come in and be our 10th man. And that's what he did. He came in, he sat down, and 3 minutes later, walked in a religious guy to daven. So someone told the secular guy, you know, we really have it. You could stay, you're welcome to stay, but really you could leave. We have our 10th man. He left. He was an older man. He left the shul. A couple of weeks later, the Mashgiach had a dream. And in that dream, there was this secular guy. And the secular guy is telling him, do me a favor. I need a favor from you. I need you to go and tell my son to say Kaddish for me. So he said, okay, I'm going to look for your son. Where's your son? Okay, I'm going to go and get him to say Kaddish for you. So he says, you know, not everyone they let come in dreams. Here in heaven, not everyone they let come into dreams. But you have no idea. When I went into that shul, even though I didn't daven, just to be the 10th man, and I wasn't even the 10th man, I was just ready to be the 10th man. You have no idea what that's worth up here in heaven. And that's why they let me come to you in a dream to go and ask my son to say Kaddish. Because in that zechut, in that merit. So, we never know what is chashuv, what is worthy in heaven and what's not worthy. You know, it says, Al tihi Omer kala be'einecha. The mitzvah of Omer, one second, does everyone know what Omer means? We count the Omer. Does everyone know what it means? It means that there was a sacrifice on the 2nd day of Passover, and every day we're counting from that sacrifice till we hit Shavuot. And why are we counting? Because we're looking forward to something. We're looking forward to Shavuot. We're looking forward to take upon the Torah, to get close to the Torah. So, it says that in the sages say, Al tihi Omer kala beinecha. It's not an easy thing. It's not a small thing. It's a big thing, the Omer. So why would you think that it's a small thing? Why would you think that the Omer is just a small mitzvah? Why? It's a carbon? I'll tell you why. It says in the Sfarim that what's the Omer made out of? It's made out of barley. Barley is not a high-class food. Barley bread, anyone ever eat barley bread? No. We make bread out of wheat, spelled some people, but we make bread out of wheat. That's the best bread that there is. The bread out of wheat. But no. Hashem is coming to tell us, you have a low-grade mitzvah, you have like barley that's given to the animals, eat barley. You have a low-grade mitzvah, you think that it's nothing. You think that it's an easy thing. Never feel that a mitzvah is too small. Every small mitzvah adds up. And we start with barley on Passover, on Pesach, and we finish Shvuot. The karban is wheat, is shtei halechem. The two breads that are brought in the Beis HaMikdash are made of wheat. Because if we're going to be machshiv means we're going to feel worthy. We're going to see the worthiness in every small act of good that we do. We won't say, okay, so I said a Kaddish, I will go to shul, I'll daven with the minyan, I'll do a gift tzedakah, I'll do tefillin, I'll learn every day. I'll learn 5 minutes. What's learning 5 minutes every day? It's nothing anyway. No. If I'm going to learn 5 minutes every day, or better yet, let's say I learn 5 minutes every day, but I'm going to add on because I want to be prepared for Shavuot. I'm going to add on another 5 minutes. I'm going to arrange a shiur for women in my house. I'm going to arrange a chavruta with another man. That's how we're going to get from the barley to the wheat, by realizing what a nachat, how Hashem loves every mitzvah that we do. We have to realize there was once a king that told his servant, he really liked his servant, and he put him in a room full of golden things, and he said, take whatever you want. And the servant thought that it's a joke, this must be fake stuff. So he just took a couple of trinkets and he just left everything behind. And he comes home and he starts looking at it and he realizes, this is heavy stuff. This is the real stuff. What did I do? Why didn't I collect enough? That's what we got to do. We have to realize we can pick up the gold and the diamonds off the streets. Sometimes real estate in Brooklyn went up in the last 30 years. I never bought an apartment. All my friends bought apartments. I never bought an apartment. And sometimes I think to myself, what did I do? Why didn't I buy an apartment when I got married, or 5 years later I'm still paying rent? What am I doing? What did I do? When we come up to Shemayim, we're going to say, hey, I could have done so many mitzvot. I could have picked them up off the world. And the same thing when we come to Shavuot. We have to realize now's the time to prepare. We can still get off the ground and get running. Let's all together. Let's be mechazek ourselves. Let's strengthen ourselves with the Ahavat Yisrael. To realize that every Jew is my brother. To realize, let's put in a couple of minutes a day. What can I do for Klal Yisrael? What can I do for my neighbor, for my sister, for my wife, for my husband, for my friend? How can I respect them, or how can I make them happy? Make a hobby of it to make another person happy. What can I do for Hashem? It's Shavuot in another couple of weeks, the 49 days is a numerical value of Lev Tov. Lev is a heart, Tov is a good heart. You want to finish the 49 days for Shavuot, have a good heart. You'll have a good heart, and good heart doesn't only mean to care about someone else, it also means to have a pure heart. To have a heart that's ready that the Torah should shine into it. So let's accept upon ourselves. I'm going to better myself in Bein Adam Lachaveiro, between a man and his friend and his family. I'm going to better myself in my relationship to Hashem. And that's the way that we really can prepare for Shavuot and have a personal relationship with Hashem and a personal relationship with the Torah. Thank you.